This is the third video in the fractions unit. We are dividing fractions today. The key thing to know about dividing is it is the opposite operation of multiplying. So we're going to basically do the opposite of what we do when we multiply. So a lot of times people like to remember the little saying, keep, change, flip when we're dividing. So those are the rules. So we keep the first fraction. So keep it the same. Then we change the operation to multiply. So we're going to do the opposite of multiplying. So we change the sign. And then we're going to flip the second fraction to its reciprocal. And then that way we're multiplying by the opposite fraction. So it's like we're dividing. Oops, to the reciprocal. I'll show you what I mean by that. But essentially, I want to just kind of, one we're like really used to doing. Let's think of dividing something by 2. So let's say I want to like take the number 20 and I want to divide it by 2. That is the exact same thing as doing 20 times 1/2. Half of 20 is the same as dividing by 2. Those are the same idea. So see how I flipped this number here? 2 became 1. 2 over 1 is the same as 1 over 2. Or when you flip it, it becomes 1 over 2. So those are reciprocals, and that means the same thing. 20 divided by 2, cut 20 in half. It's the same idea. Okay, so that's kind of like why it works. All right, let's do some examples. So we're going to follow this keep, change, flip. First thing we're going to do is keep the first number. We're going to change the sign to multiply, and we're going to flip the second fraction to its reciprocal. So it's going to become 5 over 1. And now it's just a multiplication problem. So what we learned in lesson 2. If you haven't done lesson 2 yet, go back and watch that video. But we need to check if we can reduce anything before we multiply. In this case, no. 2 over 3 doesn't reduce. No. So remember, anything in the numerator can reduce with anything in the denominator. In this case, nothing reduces. So we're just going to simply multiply. So we multiply 2 times 5. We get 10. And we're going to multiply 3 times 1. We get 3. And that's our final answer. Okay. Keep, change, flip. Keep the first fraction, 5 over 7. Remember, 3 is the same as 3 over 1. We're going to change the sign to multiply, and we're going to flip the second fraction to 1 over 3. All right, let's see if anything reduces. Nope, so we're just going to multiply. So 5 times 1 is 5, 7 times 3 is 21. That's our final answer. Okay, this one. Before we do any keep, change, flip, we need to change this to improper. All our rules in this unit only work with improper fractions. So anytime you see a mixed fraction or a mixed number, we need to change it first before we do anything else. So 1 times 3 and then add 1. There we go. Now we can do our keep, change, flip. So we keep our first fraction, change the sign, flip the second fraction from 4 over 3 to 3 over 4. And this time I check for any reducing. Nope, doesn't look like I can. So 9 times 3 is 27. 10 times 4 is 40. There we go. So keep, change, flip every single time. Now, here's my reminder. If it is possible to reduce, you need to do so before you multiply. Before you multiply, not before you divide. So we're still going to do the keep, change, flip, but then we're going to reduce first and then multiply. This is often really important when the numbers get really big, like we have in these examples here. You can see the numbers are a lot bigger than what we were doing in the first 3 examples. Okay, so let's start by keep, change, flip. So we're going to keep the first fraction, change the sign, flip the second fraction to its reciprocal. Now I'm going to look for any reducing that I do, especially because these numbers are so large. So I can divide these two numbers, 14 and 21. I can divide them by 7. So I'm going to do that now. 21 divided by 7 is 3, and 14 divided by 7 is 2. Okay, and I can also reduce 26 and 13. I can divide both of those by 13. So when I divide 13 by 13, I get 1, and when I divide 26 by 13, I get 2. So now I'm actually, it's the same as multiplying these two fractions together. 1 over 2 times 3 over 2. So 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 2 is 4. If I wouldn't have reduced first, I would have had some really big values to reduce at the end, which I wouldn't want to do. Okay, let's try one more. You could pause the video here and try this one on your own first if you want. First thing we're going to do here is change this to an improper fraction. Oh, I totally spelled that wrong. Have too many letters there. Improper. Okay, there we go. So I keep the first fraction. Oh, actually, sorry, I'm first changing it to improper. So 1 times 7 plus 3, so 10 over 7. Keep the first fraction, change the sign, flip the second fraction to its reciprocal. Okay, now I'm ready to reduce. So I look for any reductions that I can make. I see that there's a 7 and 49. Those can both be divided by 7. And I also see I have a 20 and a 10. Those can be divided by 10. So really what I'm multiplying here is 2 over 7 times 1 over 1, which is 2 over 7. Oops. And that's my final answer. So really important to reduce before you multiply. And the little acronym to remember, or the little saying to remember for dividing fractions is keep, change, flip.